On to matchup number 4. We got Team Gabo 5-3 versus GE Packer Killers 3-5. GE Pack Killers absolutely needs this one to have any chance at the postseason, and Gabo really needs this one to stop his slide in the league. Very close to being 0-4 over the last 4 weeks, but he's 1-3 over the last 4 weeks instead, keeping him at third place. ESPN has it as a pretty close matchup, 107-94. Gabo just made a big trade for Brandon Lloyd out of Denver, who's the #1 receiver in the league, and dumped previously acquired Steve Smith, who's had a down year, and Mike Wallace, who's on a little bit of an up because of Ben Roethlisberger being back for Pittsburgh. We'll see how that works out for him this time, seeing that Brandon Lloyd is on a bye week this week, and it's definitely a week that Gabo really needs to stay at a comfortable level for the playoffs. A comfortable level, just so he pretty much knows that he can be in the playoffs and takes a little bit of heat off of him. If we go through the matchup, Mark Sanchez against Detroit for GE Packer Killers, Breeze for Team Gabo. Sanchez is starting because if you look, poor GE Packer Killers also has Romo out. Vince Young is on a bye. So, him or Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer might be going against Pittsburgh, but it's a real big stretch to go with Mark Sanchez as your fantasy thing. Hopefully it works out well. I know against Detroit they give up points. Hopefully it's through the air for you. I do see Mark Sanchez having a decent week. I'm going to say about 14 points for Mark Sanchez. Drew Brees going against the Carolina defense. I think he has a really good week. About 22 points for Drew Brees. Kind of looking like the Drew Brees that he was last year. If you look into Gabo's running backs in flex spot, you have McCoy, LeGarrette Blount, and Steve Breaston. That doesn't look as intimidating as Chris Johnson, Maurice Jones-Drew, and Arian Foster, which he had in the beginning of the year. We'll see. We'll see how it works. McCoy against Indianapolis. Obviously, Indianapolis can give up running. I don't know. We don't know right now if McCoy is going or if Vic is going to be starting or Kevin Cobb. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Vic. As long as he's healthy, obviously he's going to be starting. That's what they said. So look for Vic to be starting, and if Vic starts, I think that's less points for McCoy. If you go LeGarrette Blount, he was a big pickup for Gabo this week. I can't believe anybody before him on the waiver wire didn't pick him up. But whatever. I mean, it's a great pickup. I try to get him, but I had Tammy first and then Blount as my second choice, mainly because I absolutely needed a tight end and not a running back. So, I would have had him, but instead, it got what's my leftovers is Gabo's treasures. I see him having a decent week against Atlanta. I say about 8 points. Steve Breaston for Minnesota. I don't even like Larry Fitzgerald this year for Arizona. I can't stand Steve Breaston. Give me about 4 points for Steve Breaston this week in Minnesota. If we switch over to the running backs for GE Pack Killers in his flex spot, Peyton Hillis, Donald Brown, Patrick Clayton, they look as intimidating as Gabo's spot. And the fortunate part for GE Pack Killers, Patrick Clayton, with all the injuries to San Diego, is now the #1 receiver if you don't count Antonio Gates. So he'll get some good points. I say 14 this week. Hold on one second. Lauren, I got to give you a call back. Bye, baby. Um, sorry about that. Patrick, like I said, 14 points. Donald Brown for Indianapolis. Is there no one better? Is there no one better you can put in? I know you've been beat up like crazy, and you really don't have anybody else. I mean, I would maybe think about trading to try to get somebody, because at the moment, I mean, you're really in a bad spot at the moment. In the league, and I mean it's not really all your fault because of all the injuries, but treading out Donald Brown probably isn't going to be the best. Give me about 2 points, 3 points for Donald Brown. Peyton Hillis against New England, I do like him. Give me about 16 points for Peyton Hillis. If we look at the receivers for GE Packer Killers, we got Hakeem Nicks, Mike Williams. Hakeem Nicks against Seattle, I got to really like. I'm going to say about 19 points for Hakeem Nicks this weekend, seeing the end zone once, maybe even twice. Mike Williams for Seattle. But boy, he has a resurgence. Good pickup for you. We'll see how it does against the Giants. Now, the good part is the Giants are probably going to be in the lead most of the game, so they're going to be throwing the ball around, which obviously is good for you. Give him about 9, 10 points for Mike Williams. If we look at Gabo, he has Roddy White and Steve Johnson from Buffalo. Steve Johnson obviously has been a fantasy surprise, especially in the receiver ranks. He'll probably be seeing the bench most of the year because, his trade for Brandon Lloyd, which I'm still wondering why Paula didn't ask for Steve Johnson instead of Steve Smith, who's been doing absolutely nothing, or even Mike Wallace. I'd take Steve Johnson over both of them, but hey, not my pick. But it was a legit trade. Okay, anyhow, into the pick, I actually have GE Packer Killers winning 95 to Gabo's 84. Bad week for Gabo this week. A lot of buys. It's going to shoot him down to 5 and 4. It's going to bring Packer Killers up to 4 and 5. Fantasy dud. I actually have Donald Brown. Fantasy stud, Drew Brees. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it works out for GE Packer Killers with all his things. Hopefully the trade won't hurt Gabo this week. He added another person with a bye. We'll see how it goes. I know it's going to be positive in the long run, but you got to get to the playoffs, and he's in position to make the playoffs. But bringing someone on his team right now who's going on a bye week, when you already have two of your studs on a bye week, is a really chancy move. I don't think it's going to pay off this week, but